Hey everyone, Peter here. Welcome to another episode of the dyslexiaconnect.com dyslexia blog. Today I'm going to be talking about dyslexia testing. And a question that I often get from parents is whether there is just simply a dyslexia test that you can take at home or easily take on the internet. And the answer to that is, unfortunately, there is not an accurate test that you can just simply take on the internet or get from a certain place, send for, or get off the internet. Unfortunately, with the complexity and different degrees of dyslexia that are out there, there isn't simply a way to take a quick 5-minute test, answer some questions, and see if you or your child is dyslexic. Simply due to the complexity of it, as mentioned in a previous blog episode, dyslexia is neurological. And as a result, it's very complex. We see it in a lot of differing degrees. A lot of people have different symptoms of dyslexia. Some dyslexics show certain symptoms, some dyslexics do not. And as a result, there isn't any simple self-test that you can do. Now, you can be tested for dyslexia, and there are very effective ways to do this. And there are a couple of different ways to be tested for dyslexia. There is what's called usually an informal dyslexia test or evaluation, and there is also a formal dyslexia test and evaluation. Now, what is the difference and how do you choose between these two different options? Let me give you some details about what they are. An informal dyslexia evaluation is usually something that will just be done by a dyslexia tutor or maybe a psychologist or somebody who works a lot with dyslexics and is very familiar about the symptoms of dyslexia and how to identify them. At dyslexiaconnect.com we offer informal dyslexia evaluations, and this is something that typically any dyslexia tutor who has some experience and proper training is able to do. They're able to work with a student and say, yep, they show all these signs, sign A, B, C, D. They're clearly dyslexic. They're having a lot of difficulties like dyslexics typically have, with reading and spelling, reading accuracy, and all the other things that I mentioned that are typical signs of dyslexia. So that's one type of dyslexia evaluation or test. The other type is a formal evaluation. Now, a formal evaluation is typically only done by a doctor, a psychiatrist, or a licensed psychologist. Now, this of course is going to be much more involved and take a lot more time. Typically a formal evaluation is going to be fairly lengthy. It may require a half a day of testing, maybe 5 hours, 6 hours, 7 hours, and usually the doctor or psychiatrist in this case will run the child or the adult who's being tested through a whole battery of tests and check them for many different things at once. This is a very scientific approach, and it's a great thing to do if you need an official evaluation. Now, typically, of course, since these are done by psychiatrists and doctors, this is going to be something that's much more expensive than a simple informal evaluation. An informal evaluation, since it's able to be done by a dyslexia tutor, is typically something that is much more inexpensive and may simply be the cost of just one tutoring session. Just if you have the student work with the tutor one time, they may be able to say, hey, here are the clear signs of dyslexia that we're seeing here. So those are your two options, an informal evaluation or a formal evaluation. Now, how do you choose between these? What exactly do you need, and what type of situation would you need an informal versus a formal dyslexia evaluation? There are some pretty clear answers to this, fortunately. If you are simply wondering whether your child has dyslexia, if you're curious about it, if they seem to have trouble, if they've been having some trouble reading, writing, spelling, they seem sort of resistant about school, period, reading seems to be exhausting for them, and if they show any of the number of signs that we typically see with dyslexics, then you might want to just have them evaluated to see if they have dyslexia. And of course, in this case, informal evaluation is fine. You simply want the knowledge about whether your child is dyslexic or not. In this case, an informal evaluation works very well. You can take them to a tutor or have them do an online tutoring session like we offer with Dyslexia Connect, and the tutor will be able to tell you, well, they show these clear signs of dyslexia. So In this case, an informal evaluation is a great way to go. Also, if you think they might be dyslexic and you just want to find help for them, an informal evaluation is enough for this, because you're going to get an answer about whether they are dyslexic or not. And once you know that they're dyslexic, then you can go ahead and pursue dyslexia treatment options. You don't have to have an official dyslexia evaluation to pursue dyslexia tutoring and dyslexia treatment options for your child. Now, when do you need a formal dyslexia evaluation? You need a formal dyslexia evaluation if you are going to use it in the school that your child is in. Typically, any situation that involves a school, state testing, or any sort of situation where you're trying to get a 504 or an IEP in place, you're going to need an official evaluation because you need something that actually is official, done by a doctor or psychiatrist, and will hold up in the school system. So if you're trying to establish an IEP for them and you simply need to say, hey, here's the proof my child is dyslexic, we need these accommodations for this reason because they are dyslexic, you need an official evaluation in this case. It's going to be worth it for you to do that. Also, if your child needs special accommodations, either in school or on state testing or a test like the ACT or the SAT, you need an official evaluation, because you're going to be able to take this official evaluation to the officials who are in charge of this and say, here we have an official diagnosis of dyslexia, we need accommodations for this reason. So this is another case where an official evaluation is a great way to go. So those are a couple of the reasons or the different types of evaluations and dyslexia tests that are out there. And depending on what you need, you can decide on whether you would like an official evaluation or an unofficial evaluation. As I mentioned, an informal or unofficial evaluation is much less expensive, it can be very cost effective, and it can give you a solid answer about whether your child is dyslexic. If you need an actual document that says your child is dyslexic, an official one, then you're looking at an official evaluation. That's definitely what you need in that case. So, if you have any questions at all, please feel free to post them here or on our website, www.dyslexiaconnect.com. If you're interested in informal dyslexia evaluation, we actually offer that with the free session that we offer at Dyslexia Connect. And you can feel free to go to our website and check that out, and you can sign up on one of the contact forms there. And if you have any other questions or comments, please feel free to share them, and I will do my best to answer them, answer your questions. Thanks a lot for watching, and I'll see you next time. Bye-bye.